Welcome. This is Elizabeth Fulgaro. With me today is Chaplain Lisa Northway, U.S. Army. Chaplain Lisa, thank you for being with us again.
Thank you for having me again.
You were in the midst of sharing with us one of the times while you were deployed in Iraq that you most had to depend on God and that you would have been lost without Him. Could you continue the story?
So I got to the trailer in my office with that person who was supervising me at the time, and he let me in, and he did it in such a way as to let me know he was the real estate broker. I was not in charge. There was this sense of him trying to make a point, and like this, and saying this will no longer be your space. You will not be here. And I didn't know, quite honestly, I was wondering, am I being fired? Because I knew that commanders could fire chaplains, but this was not the commander. So I didn't know what was really going on. And so I remember, just trying to fight back the tears and the confusion, and knowing this was a person who had not been responding well to a lot of situations professionally. And yet, this is the person that many of us report to. So I remember grabbing a few things and then following him back to the talk, and being given a station in the back and told that I needed to sit there and just stay there till we figured some things out. And I remember that I had cried so hard. I think maybe just everything. And even though I was wearing contacts, that they had become so cloudy from the tears, the chemically, I literally couldn't even see a phone list, because I remember trying to get a hold of my brigade chaplain, because I was always told if anybody, as by our order, if anybody on the team, the unit ministry team, is displaced or fired, or that we have to, first thing we have to tell the brigade chaplain, because he's our in the chaplain chains. We have our technical chain of command, the chaplain chain, and so it's like we always have two bosses. And so I remember calling him and saying, "Sir," and it took a while to get a hold of him, and he finally got the message. He got through, and he says, "Chaplain Northway, what is going on?" I said, "Sir, I don't know. I was summoned this morning to the talk, and then I was escorted to get my laptop, and I was told to sit here until things would be figured out." And he says, "Well, were you fired?" I said, "I don't know, sir. Those words weren't used, but I have no idea." And he says, "Well, I'm going to have to talk to your commander." So,
but this fellow wasn't the commander, right?
No, the one who had made the order was not the commander. And by the end of the day, I think it was by night. It was probably one of the longest days.
I bet.
In the combat zone. Which is interesting, because I'm just thinking about it now. The story I told you about before, being in the forward surgical team, the operating room, was certainly the longest night of my life in that space, which would be expected. Yeah. This other event was the longest day. Of my combat time in a non-combat specific situation, and it took the whole day. I think it was nightfall, and the brigade chaplain got a hold of the battalion commander. Said, "Hey, so did you fire Chaplain Northway?" And he says, "Why are you asking me that?" "No, I haven't fired her." And he says, "Well, then why is she sitting in your talk? Why is she there?" He says, "You need to make up your mind. Is she working for you? Is she not?" And so I guess there was some sort of scuttle, some sort of situation and communications between a few top leaders, and my commander was absolutely not firing me. He wasn't willing to be without a chaplain, and he was challenged. From what I've heard, you hear this all secondhand. I wasn't in the room. Was that she either works for you or she doesn't? And they said, "Well, we need to put her back to work." And eventually I was given the keys back to that piece of property, as it was called. And it was very interesting to me. In just one day, you don't really think about how many people come to see the chaplain in one day. But the word getting around camp that we can't find the chaplain, and not only can we not find her, there's a padlock on the door.
Horrible for them.
Mm-hmm.
So did you hear back of a lot of them looking for you?
Yes. And I think that was the point where I specifically had to go to one first sergeant say, hey, yeah, it's not pretty out here, but I'm here. I'm still on the job. And then he said, okay, chaplain, we're not going to keep them from coming to you then.
What kept you going afterwards? Because I can imagine that would have been, I'm diminutizing it, that it would have been personally rattling to feel devalued in that way. It would be unsettling in a very awful way to have to then go back to that office.
Mm-hmm.
So what got you through?
I think in part was, that first deployment where I was at Camp Buring and realizing soldiers, just countless soldiers. I could never tell you how many soldiers I saw in that year. I know I would be there from morning till late at night. I remember that the dining facility is right behind there, and yet I ate out of care packages because there would be a line of soldiers, even 10 to 15 at a time.
To come see you.
Yes. And I remembered it at that time, and I think I carried that memory with me on the second deployment. It really isn't about the war, the physical combat. It truly is about the spiritual war, the emotional battles, the mental battles, what the unseen baggage that every soldier has. And I realized, why would I think that I would escape from what all my soldiers are going through? Generations of warriors for thousands of years. It truly is a spiritual battle more than it's ever a physical combat battle.
That's quite a revelation. And it wasn't just one moment. It's what you experienced both times.
Yes.
Thank you, Chaplain Lisa. Let's continue this next time.